Hey everyone, and welcome to this video where I'm trying out a new streaming software. So first of all, hope that it's working okay and that I'm not going to end the video and regret this, but and a new camera as well, so you can see my face a little bit better. Like that's really what you wanted when you were watching this stream. I think you'll be focusing more on this. So today we're going to look at how to set up Stripe in Noodle. This is not as easy as Stripes that I've set up before when I've worked with Noodle, where or whatever with Bubble, sorry, before, where it was a plugin to install and you put in your API key and you click the node for create a payment and it just went through. This is really more on the side of using the Stripe API, really getting into what that's all about and trying to understand it a bit. So, we have to get over our fear of code, as for all of these videos. You have to get over the fear of code if you have that, which I did. And I struggled through the Stripe stuff and I got through it. And so I'm going to try to help you struggle through today as well. So let's say in our Super BNB app, we have our listings page. I think I still have a listing. And let's say that we're going to add a book button to this listing, like a really stupidly simple thing that on that page you're going to be able to just pay, I don't know, for one night or something. Maybe it's just a one night only BNB. It's a very special BNB. It's just for traveling folks and so they can get settled for one night. So let's find out where this stuff is and then put a button in there. This looks a bit dumb, but there. Yeah, okay. So the book is going to be the book now button. And I want when I book now, it's going to take a payment of, I don't know what, $100, something like that. Let's say, for example. Oh, no, is it the price? A day price? I didn't even put a euro sign on it. Okay, hold on. I know I'm all over the place. It's okay, don't worry. Price. Day price. Format that sucker. Here. Refresh that. So no. Super awesome flats. It's $100. Perfect. So I want that to be. I click the button book now and it'll make me pay $100. Cool. So first things first, I'm going to install the Stripe module, which I might have already installed actually. So excuse me if it throws up some errors. Maybe it's not a module. Maybe it's a prefab. Yes, sir. It's a prefab. Yeah, so I already have it. Oh, good. So you would click and it would just install that prefab that I don't need to already have done. And so nothing happens because we're going to ask for a cloud function because all the Stripe stuff happens in the cloud in Noodle. So when we click book now, it's going to call a cloud function, and the cloud function it's going to call is in the Stripe folder of your cloud functions. You're going to have, this is assuming you have the Noodle backend. No, sorry, it's just cloud functions. Never mind. Maybe you have to have the Noodle backend to have the cloud functions. To have cloud services. Yeah, you have to have that, don't you? Oh well, that's an investigation for another time. And so we have this whole Stripe folder full of stuff. The main things we're concerned about, well, it depends. So the way Stripe works is you can have, where's my Chrome? Get up there, Chrome. So the way Stripe works is you can have products. Somewhere. Product catalog. So you can have products. I created some stuff in the past there. And products are like single one-shot purchases, like something where you set up a price for something, like you've got a subscription for the year and so you set up like a 1 year price and it's not recurring. that would be a product. So, or like you're selling a template and the template costs $200, or you're selling this flat, but it's all the flats cost the same price. So the product is like one night flat. And so as long as you just have like one price, one product, you can reference that product. And then that would be applicable to this, applicable to the byproducts workflow. There's also the stuff about plans. I think that's about subscriptions. So if you want to set up a monthly subscription, this will be the one you want. That can be a little bit tricky. We're not going to go into that today. We'll just get into the basic how to take a payment stuff. So the how to take a payment stuff comes with creating a session, which is in, I think in byproducts, they go through create a session, and yeah, so create a session is creating a checkout session and then sending the person through to that checkout session. Now, the way that it's set up, you don't here have a one-shot payment thing. You have to either buy a product or subscribe to a plan or get you can get invoices and things like that. But there's no, in the other apps I've used, there's just been a workflow charge the user. So from I have a flat and it costs $100. Another flat it costs 120. Another flat it costs 80. I want to send through whatever the price is to Stripe and get it to just charge the person that price without it being a particular product. I don't want to create a product every single time I have a new flat listed on my site, because then I'll end up with hundreds or thousands of products if I have a successful site. So I want the book now to just do a charge. So what I had to do with this is to first modify the code in create a session, because what happens is the person then gets sent to the URL of the checkout, which will contain all the info on what they have to pay. So that comes back to the front end. We send the person to the Stripe site, and then they go pay and come back, and we process the payment event. So this checkout URL will only work if, and this is where we have to dig into the code a little bit, it'll only work if we can have a look down through it. You need a customer ID, first of all. So if there's no customer ID, we need to create one. So we're going to make the email and name of the customer as metadata, and then, they can add metadata as well to the email and name. And then we're going to do a call to the API endpoint customers in Stripe to say, hey, can you create this user for me? And when we get that user, it's going to return the customer ID, which then we can use elsewhere in the app. So then we can pass that customer ID through to get the checkout. So that was also part of the customers. Okay. I guess that's to retrieve. Yeah, that's retrieving the customer. If the customer, otherwise, if there's already a customer, then we just go and retrieve the customer and use that as an object. And then we take the customer ID, and we use that as parameters. So the success URL is going to be, if the payment is successful, where should the user come back to? So maybe you have a page that's like myapp.com/Stripe payment ? Status equals success. Or it could be myapp.com/payment success, whatever you want. So that you can process that when they come back. It hits a page of your website, of your app, where you can process that event of them coming back and say, thanks for payment, or something like that. Or they just come back to the index page or something like that. But you might want to have them come back to something like myapp.com, at least the index page, ? Stripe payment equals success. And then that means you can throw up like a modal on the screen to say, well, thanks for paying. And then they know that their payment was successful. The cancel URL can just bring them back to the index with no parameters. They just go back to the index. That's if they like get to the Stripe page and just click, I don't want to pay. They just come back to whatever page they're on before. Or you pass through the current page they're looking at. So in my case, maybe listings ? question mark ID equals and whatever the listing ID is, that becomes the cancel URL. So if they cancel booking, they come back to this page and don't just go back to the index and then have to start all over again searching. Mode, we're going to come back to that. I'm going to go and I'll show you the code, and then I'll go and show you code that I've already edited, and then we're going to bring it in here, copy paste. Just wanted to show you what it looks like out of the box when you get the Stripe prefab in place. So line items, price and quantity. So this is important. You need to have a price and a quantity for the line item. So that's, I'm going to have this product, which is this price, and this, and one of those products. Or was it actually no, just maybe just price and quantity with no products? I don't remember that. It was mode. We're going to go and have a look at the other code, because I remember that this didn't 100% work when I tried to just pass through a price without a quantity. You needed to have a quantity of products and have a product ID pass through. But I don't see the product ID here. Where did it go? Maybe they changed the Stripe prefab. Let's have a look. Go into my other project and have a look. This is one where I know Stripe Payments works because I've tested it. So this one, create a session. So same stuff, get the customer ID. If they don't have an ID, create one. And then, yeah, it's about, oh yeah, it was because I wanted to create subscriptions. That was my problem here. So if it has a recurring price, so this is the code for if you wanted to create a checkout session to get someone to create a recurring subscription for one of your subscription items. Otherwise, it's a payment. So if it is a recurring price, it's the mode is subscription. That was what the mode was before that I was looking for. The mode is subscription. Otherwise, the mode is just payment. And we had promotion codes to that one. So this was all ChatGPT, by the way. I just gave ChatGPT the code and said, hey, this is code for doing a Stripe call in Noodle. I need it updated so that I can add promotion codes. And so Stripe GPT created this for me as a parameter. So those are the same price and quantity. And then we're posting that. And then that's it. Actually, maybe that's the same. Price and quantity. And then we input the line items. Yeah, we just have to format the line items so that they follow this style. Oops. Yeah, so the line item has to have a price and a quantity. So we need to have a price field and a quantity field in small letters for each object that we want them to pay for. And what we're going to be doing is just sending in one object, just the price for one room that we want them to buy. So anyway, let's try it and see what happens. It seems like maybe it's been updated since I had to change it before. I know I definitely had to change it before. Okay, so let's go to super listing, super awesome flat. We're going to book, call the cloud function. We have to create the checkout session by products. So this is the code that comes with it. There we go. Yeah. So line items, price and quantity. So we're going to have quantity 1 and price, whatever the price of our flat is. So let's call by products. It's going to want to have an input of items, owner ID, customer email, customer ID, and customer name, just in case. So let's add that in there. Do I have a user? I do. So Ricky Osborne, let's get it in there. Customer name, let's format the full name. First name, last name, name. So we've got customer name, customer ID is going to be Stripe ID, which needs to go into our database as a field. Oops. So Stripe ID, so if there's a Stripe ID, it goes in here. Customer email can also go in here. Owner ID is the same as, I can't remember what owner ID was about. Owner ID, pay owner ID. Oh, okay, it's if you have if it's being purchased on behalf of someone else. So if you're this would be the case. This would be I would feed in the creator of this. So where is it? There, creator. So I would feed in the creator's Stripe ID, and then it would pay out to that. It would register that the payout is owed to that person. Oops, Stripe ID, owner ID. Okay, and then that's just the price. Now we need to format that into an object that would so we're going to take in, no, we're just going to create an object. And it's going to have quantity and price. Quantity is a number and it's going to be 1, and price is a number and it's going to be our day price. So I mean, obviously in practice you would use day price times however many days they've booked or something like that. Day price, price. So we're not going to call that. We're going to create an object first. Book now, create an object. We're going to feed that. Oh no, crumbs. Then we need to make that into an array. And we need to insert an object into the array. I mean, this is the no code way of doing it. You could do it with a function. The easiest thing. Maybe that would be the easiest thing. It's a bit silly. We don't actually need to have the object. We're not going to reference it anywhere else. So let's try to make a function from scratch. I like practicing. So I'm going to practice a little code. So price equals inputs price. And then we're going to say that we're going to make inputs items equals an array where the object is quantity 1, and price is going to be price. Beautiful. So we need to get the price from here. The price. Output. Yeah, there we go. Create price object. And then we're going to put that array into here because it's expecting an array of items even if we only have one. It still wants us to have something in there. So that should work. Yeah, that'll work because that'll already create the price on page load. So we don't need to do anything with that function. It'll run automatically. We don't need to call it if we don't want to. So we'll just call the function when we click that button and see what happens. Now in theory, we should get back a URL. Oops. So we'll get a string here so we can detect what URL comes back or what error comes out. So let's find out what happens. Oh, I know what'll happen. Nothing, because we haven't even set up our API keys yet or any of our so we have nothing. It's going nowhere at the moment, which is awesome. There's no API key. Ta-da! So Stripe API key. This is in the config node. Checkout success URL. It's really handy to have that automatically put in. So this is in the config node. What is the config node? If you're using the Noodle backend, then when you go into your database, you've got this thing at the bottom here that says config. And config is like any kind of string value or number or date or whatever array file, things that are like primordial to your app. So these would be things like API keys, things that you want to keep hidden, and you want them to be accessed only from this secure call to the backend. When calls are being made, then the call goes out to the backend. Please give me this key. Key comes through, goes through in the API call, but doesn't get exposed to the user. So really handy thing to have. So the return URL is going to be, I don't know what actually, because I don't have a sandbox address for this, I don't think. Do I? Maybe I do. Oh, I do. WebRTC test.sandbox.noodle app. Okay, nice. I'll open that up. Open that up. Anyway, let's see how that goes. And we probably don't need to use that yet, actually. No, checkout success is going to be, we want to use it locally. I want to do it locally first to show you how that works without having to go through all the kerfuffle of setting it up live on Stripe and everything. So we can set it up locally using the wonderful Stripe guide from Noodle. So this is actually a good guide that is worth following. So this only works, as they say, if you have cloud functions and the cloud backend. So it's going to give us a step-by-step guide on how to set up our key, our Stripe API key. And we want to get this master key. This go into developer mode. So you want to go into your Stripe account. If you create a Stripe account, if you don't have one, obviously, and then go into test mode. So test mode, it means that you can type in like a fake credit card and it'll go through like the payment went through. And you can also test all sorts of different credit card numbers that are like credit card declined because they're overdrawn and stuff like that. So you can really test quite deeply what's going on in there. And we're going to go to developers. And we're going to go to API keys. And here is our secret key, secret test key. So you can charge whatever you want to it. It's just going to come up as in the test version, so nobody cares. So we want to get our Stripe API key, and we're going to put it in our config. So we'll get the secret key and put it into Stripe API key. Yes. So this needs to be filled with Stripe API key. Just stick it in there. Requires master key. It means that when you want to get this value, it only works if you're doing it from the editor at the moment. So it might be something we want to do. Just for now, we can turn it off later. And so the Stripe API key is this. I can't remember if we need to have a local override. Yeah, so to basic example, price ID. Yeah, so this is where they start talking about price ID is where you would have a product in Stripe. So they have a product that costs 50 krona. Then that's, that magic sword, for example. So that's not what we want to do today. I don't have a price ID to put in there. So we can skip all this. And then, yeah, here we go. So checkout success URL. So we want to use the local checkout success URL so we can test it inside the inside our local environment and not have to go online with this just yet. So Stripe success is this. Localhost 8574 is the front end running version, the website that's running in your front end in your computer, and you're locally in the front end that's running in your computer, sorry. So we'll create that. And then actually we don't need that to be master key, do we? Because it's not exactly important information. And then the cancel URL will be a different URL. And then we have to create these pages as well. Oops. Okay, so Stripe success, Stripe cancel. So we have this local override. You can locally override if you have like a special key for local use, and then a production key. You can set the Stripe API key to your production public key, and then in the local environment use the test key, for example. So that means that when it's running locally, it'll use this key. Otherwise, it'll use the main one that you've stored in your config file. So that's all good. Oh, I see. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. So actually, they were suggesting here that you put in the real sandbox or whatever domain URL into the config file, and then afterwards check local override and put these two links in as local override. So that actually did that the wrong way. And well, not the wrong way. I only want to test locally, so I don't really care. But this would normally be the full address of your app /checkout success, and then in here you would click local override and do that. It's the local address. That's the when you're testing locally, that's what you want it to be. Okay, fulfillment of webhooks. Okie dokie. So now we need to install the Stripe SDK because we're going to make calls to a local version of Stripe. It's going to funnel stuff into Stripe, get the Stripe's response, funnel it back to us, and make us have a nice, safe, and easy environment to develop in. So we need to install Stripe developer tools. So if you don't know how to do that, there's a link here. In your dashboard, it shows you how to install your own local environment for Stripe. So test in a local environment, we're going to do download CLI, log in with your Stripe account. So you've downloaded the command line interface, which is here. So you just follow the steps, or do like if you're on Mac, then do it with Homebrew, or I wouldn't do this stuff for Mac OS. I would just use Homebrew. If you haven't got Homebrew, then click on that to install it. You go to the website and install it. And if you're on Windows, I don't know what you do. Good luck with that. And so install the Stripe command line stuff. I'm not going to take you through all that. It's really boring. And if you get stuck, there's loads of advice on the internet, on forums and Stack Overflow, and there's always ChatGPT who can give you good advice if you can't get in there. So we're going to do Stripe login. I can't remember how. Oh, hold on. Let's give it a try and see what happens. No. Oh crap! I need to be in ZSH. Well, isn't that just peachy? Oh, I can't remember how to change into ZSH. Why do I not memorize these things? Okay, thank goodness. Here we go. Party time. Your pairing code is humor, joyous, plush flame. So we have to go back into Stripe. Oh no, oops. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Stripe login. Please press enter on the keyword complete authentication process in your browser. Okay. Come back over here, you. Get in there. Yes, it's perfect. Allow access. It was the same code, so I've got access. And so we are live. Please note this queue. So I'm logged in. It's all good. So it'll be live for 90 days. Nice. Okay, then we're going to do this one. Forward events to your webhook. Oh yes, no, back to the Stripe docs, back to the Noodle docs. So it's this we need to do, localhost 8577. That's the port that your cloud functions are running on. And /functions makes all the functions into all the functions that are cloud functions in Noodle, which you might have seen in my other videos. All of these things that are cloud functions are technically function names. So if I do function slash authenticate user, that will actually call that function from outside. So that's what we're doing here. We're calling the Stripe webhook function. We don't want a $sign in there though. So it means that when Stripe hears something happen in my Stripe dev account, it'll forward the response here into my computer and it'll forward it into my cloud functions in my local machine. So it's getting ready. It's ready. Here we go. I'll create a cloud function called Stripe webhook small case. Yes. So we need to go here and create, we need an endpoint. We just set up the endpoint saying that it should be looking for something called, where was it? Stripe webhook. So we need to create a function that has that exact name, and it has to be a cloud function because that's the endpoint one. Stripe, what I talk too much. I forget what I said. Stripe webhook. And when it gets a request, it's going to respond with process Stripe payment event, or a subscription event if you're doing subscriptions. Okay, what's Noodle say to do next? Well, that's good. Use this function called check session. Okay. Make sure the cloud function can be called without authorization. This bit is super important and I always forget it. So it's good that I read and don't just rush through. If you can't call this without unauthenticated, then nobody can call it from outside. It's only people who are logged in as a Noodle user of your app can access that. So you need to have that checked. So that's good. And then we have all our stuff in. So in theory, our Stripe is listening. Our Noodle is set up to receive the payment event. And so now we can click book now and see what happens. I would like to see what happens in the cloud function create session. So let's go. So it failed. Super duper. Why did it fail though? That's what we want to know. Oh, we don't have a failure message. Are you joking? Oh, throw error. Yes, it should throw something. No, it's not throwing anything. Okay. Yeah, probably because it actually successfully did what it was supposed to do. Throw failure, throw error, failure. Okay, so that's not that. It's probably here. Throw failure, checkout session. Okay, so it just threw a failure, but with no message. Failed to create checkout session. There we go. But why? That's the question. Show me the DevTools. Okay, so it just says failed to create checkout session. So what are we missing? Probably some data is missing. We've got customer name. Customer ID is empty. Customer email is not empty. Line items are empty. Well, that would be a pretty good reason to fail, wouldn't it? And I bet I know what happened. I bet it was just a stupid mistake. Yay, no, it wasn't. So the item went in, but the call didn't push the item through. Why is that? Items are received, items went in, items were received, items went in, and items didn't come out. So that explains a lot. Items went in, quantity and price. Probably because we actually don't need that. Price ID. Okay, there we go. It's finally clicked. Price ID is the ID of the product's price. So that's what I was saying before. This is where it was all messed up before. This is where I need to just go and double check what I did in resourceful to make that work. There it is. It's all clicking. It's all clicking. But then I did the same thing here. Hold on a sec. Yeah, there it is there. That's my funky quantity and price, JSON object, yeah. There we go. Stripe price ID. Yeah, it replaces the Stripe price ID with the price. Why I had to do all that kerfuffle just to get it to remove price ID data. But I don't exactly remember. Yeah, so we do it a simple payment. Mode is payment. And then this takes the object that I put in and then maps the object with Stripe price ID taken out. Oops. Let's have a quick ask a ChatGPT, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to make this work. Yeah, so you can see that it's failed the post. It's all just wrong. I'll copy in the function as well and see what ChatGPT has to say about this. Adjust the way, so adjust the line items. So we're going to use, look at that, currency, product data, name. Oh yeah, you need to provide a name for the product. Unit amount, there we go. That looks good. That's beautiful. Update check us. Okay, let's get this first. This is going to do a different mapping here. It's going to map something called price data with a quantity. And we're going to have unit amount, the amount of the price times 100 because it's looking for cents. So 100 bucks times 100, 10,000 cents. And the name of the product. So we have to give it a name. We have to say what the actual product name is. So that's going to be from items, price data map I, price data currency USD name. Yeah, so let's do line items equals inputs items or otherwise map. So this is going to be I dot name. Yeah, so we need a name field and a price field, but I want it to be in lowercase. Please. US dollars. No, it's going to be EUR, euros, please. Multiply that by 100 to get the centimes, and the quantity is also going to be in lowercase, please. So we're missing a name in our items. Let's go get that name in there. Just cheat a little bit. I'm not going to put it up there. No, that's not very good code, is it? So name is name. And the name is the name of the listing. Voila. Nice. Okay, so let's go back to our cloud function. So now we've got the byproducts is taking in these items that are going to have name, quantity, and price fields. It's going to map that to the name, price, and quantity fields of a new thing called price data and quantity, a new object. It's going to pass, we don't need metadata, it's going to pass the line items into here, and the modification of that function is going to be, yeah, so if we have line items, then we're going to make a mapping of the line items to parameters. And so they're just taking, well, I'll show you. So there's all the fields that we've just created expressed in mapping for this function. That exists down here. So you can see like we had price and quantity before. Now we're going to add the other bits that we just got from GPT. So it's got price data, currency, unit amount. So that should do the right stuff that we needed to do. Come on. I knew I had to modify the function. I knew there was something about that if you don't have a price, if you don't have a price ID, then it doesn't work. I thought I wasn't going crazy. Success. Check out URL, my friends. Let's go and check it out. This is a really good joke. It's good when you can't hear anybody rolling their eyes. Super awesome flat, $100. So now we're going to pay by card. We're going to pay with 4242424242424242, and then you put whatever you want, 4444, 444. But it's important. The 4242 is the fake card with successful payment. Ricky Tiki. Pay. It should actually take us back to our app. Yes, it did. And then in our terminal, look at that. Charge succeeded. We've got an event ID. Checkout session completed. And so we could actually go into Stripe and probably see that payment event. Test mode. There we go. So we actually have a payment here. $100. Ricky Osborne, paid with card 4242. This is the email. Super awesome flat, $100. Stripe fee, etc. So you get everything you need from here, and then also here you're gonna have received something, I think, as well. Yeah. So look, here we received a customer ID. So this is the function that I showed you earlier, the Stripe webhook that we set up between the request and process Stripe payment event. So when that webhook receives something, this function takes the body the body of the request that's been sent through and parses it out. So you get the customer ID, you get the items that were purchased, and so from here then you could say, oh, I see somebody has well, there's no product or price ID, so that's just a one-shot payment. But if you modified this code as well to be able to parse out better the response, which actually if we tick equals request params Noodl object. Okay, so outputs requests raw data Noodl objects requests. So I think that maybe it'll work, maybe not. I can't remember. We'll put that out into a string just so we can have a look at it. Now we'll do it again. Yeah, there we go. So if because we've just taken this is objects.request, it just pumps out the whole request that's come through into the endpoint. It's a bit of a weird way to work with APIs, but you get used to it. I like it. So it was unauthenticated, and the parameters we received look like this. So we've got an event ID, we've got data in that event, payment intent, charges. There's the data. Oh, we don't have any charges. Just a payment intent. Customer ID requires payment method. And did we get anything else from there? Oh, okay, I haven't paid yet. So it's come through. That's processed an event to say the customer is asked to pay. And so now we can go to the URL. I'll have to go through that again, I think. Oh no, there it is. Ooh, good. Go through the URL again. We have to pay again. And oh crap. And then there. Okay, the new one. Charge succeeded. Here we go. This is the good stuff. Data, object, and there we're going to find our charge ID. Nice, that's what you need. So you need a charge ID to be able to work with that to say, let's confirm that was really charged to Stripe. It was $1,000. It was 10,000 cents, so $100. And we can get the data about what it was charged for. Payment intents, receipt URL. So there's even a receipt you can give to the user as well. Succeeded. So you can use all this data then to like process that on the after the thing. Say, okay, we've got the data, so let's output what the thing they bought was, the metadata that you passed through. So like, what product was it related to? What listing was it related to? Mark that listing as booked. Create a payment in the database. Mark the chart. Put the charge ID into that payment record in the database. Attach the payment to the listing booking. That whole system then comes out of this function and whatever you want to output from this function. So again, you're going to have to get a little bit comfortable with the code because this noodle.objects.request is expressed as this. So you can say, you know, noodle.objects.request.data.object, and then work with these parameters. So .id equals, .amount equals, and just work with all of that on the outer bit here and work your magic to make this workflow the way that you need it to be for your app. So it seemed complicated, and it was complicated. It's a pain in the butt, but it teaches you some stuff about how Stripe works. And I think that's really valuable because Stripe is such a powerful tool and so many websites use it for payments. So I highly recommend that you at least try to do that simple payment workflow that I just showed you. And then maybe another time we'll get into stuff that's a bit more meaty and complicated. So I hope you enjoyed that, and it wasn't